Okay, let's get started. Um, so, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Today's section is going to be focused on chat with your data. Just to introduce myself, my name is Murali Krishnamurthy. I'm a senior solutions engineering manager here at Alation, covering APJ. Been with Alation for about 4 years now, with a background in data management and data governance. So we are going to start. So this is the agenda for today. We are going to start with a background on Number Station. We are going to talk about some of the capabilities. We'll go through a quick live demo, followed by a technical deep dive, and then we'll park about 10 minutes for questions. All right. So let's start with the Number Station story. So Number Station was started by a group of researchers who, the co-founders, they all met in Stanford's AI lab, where they started their research on LLMs. In fact, one of the co-founders authored the paper for LLMs with regards to structured data. They moved from a research to starting a company, and in 2024 released the first conversational analytics product. And in May this year, Number Station was acquired by Alation. And the reason we have acquired Number Station is the world is changing very fast. So we are all used to searching on Google and then navigating to the individual links. So that's the search-based discovery. But now, as AI becomes more and more prevalent, people don't want to go through this traditional search experience. They want answers to business problems. So hopefully all of you have seen or used Perplexity or have seen the Google search overview. So where you're being provided with information to answer your question rather than the expectation of you having to click through multiple links and then come to that inference, right? So we are seeing more and more expectation of AI powered answers, and that is precisely the journey that we want to take our customers through. And the key here, as everyone is trying to make AI work on structured data, is LLMs can accelerate certain processes. Right? So they are great with unstructured data. They have the ability to automate a lot of the manual tasks, but they need metadata. Right? Metadata is critical for a successful AI initiative, and that has been validated by a variety of companies that have acquired data management or metadata platforms, and that is because they recognize that without an effective data and metadata strategy, there is no AI strategy. Now, why is that? So LLMs are great when it comes to unstructured content. So they excel at it, but they find it difficult dealing with structured data because at the moment LLMs are autocomplete engines. They are not analytical engines. So without metadata, they oftentimes sound right, but they are potentially hallucinating. And that is why it is important to have a knowledge layer that's powering these LLMs. And so what we want to ensure is improving the success rates of these AI initiatives, ensuring the accuracy of responses is significantly higher when we have a metadata layer powering these LLMs. And that is exactly what this slide depicts. So we have done internal testing with a customer. So we found out, when an LLM doesn't have context, the accuracy drops. Whereas with effective metadata or with a clear knowledge graph that's powering these LLMs, that accuracy improves dramatically. And that is why we see more and more companies that are recognizing the value of metadata, and they are racing towards integrating metadata into their enterprise stacks. Now, coming to Alation and Number Station. So Alation, traditionally has been that entry point into the enterprise landscape. So it's this rich repository of metadata. It provides context about all the relevant information assets. It holds information about all the relationships. So that metadata within Alation is going to be paired with the AI agents from Number Station to unlock the ROI and ensure traditional governance now also has an AI driven approach, right? So we are leveraging AI as an accelerator to drive outcomes faster for our customers, but doing so with a governed fashion. So the first initiative in this space is our chat with your data offering. So let's talk about what chat with data addresses. So when you look at the enterprise, there are some common challenges, right? Data is scattered. There are silos within the analytical layer. Insights are stuck within people's heads or dashboards or spreadsheets. So it's not connected. The second is business users want to get started, but they are not able to self-serve because they have to depend on IT for a lot of their analytical questions. And without metadata and governance, as we touched upon earlier, there is a risk of AI hallucinating or misinterpreting, and this creates audit risks and erodes trust and clarity. So, from an Alation perspective, we see data products as enabling a new data operating model. So, what are data products? Right? Data products, by definition, are one or more data assets that are packaged and delivered together. They are managed like a product. So, the key intention here is to solve for a business problem, and they are governed, they are well curated, so they meet all the standards that have been defined at an enterprise level, and they are going to link into the underlying data store. So these are repeatable, reusable assets that can be leveraged by people across the organization that meet minimum standards. And that's the whole shift from an asset based search within the catalog to more discovering data products that can address business problems. So from an Alation perspective, we now have what is called as a data product marketplace, where all these data products that are servicing different use cases are published and can be leveraged, can be discovered, can be leveraged by consumers across the organization. Now, chat with data is a capability within the data products. So it is an AI assistant that is going to help turn these data products into providing insights that can be trusted. So when we talked about the common challenges, the way chat with data addresses those challenges is by one unifying these data assets. So we have all these scattered assets. Now, what are the assets together that will deliver an outcome? So data product is going to be the answer towards that. People can interact with data products in simple English. And these metadata aware agents, which are going to leverage on the metadata within the enterprise, they are going to deliver up to more than 60% more accurate results. And people are going to have confidence in their responses. They are going to be able to trust these responses because this is not some sort of black box AI. So from an Alation standpoint, when you have a conversation through chat with data, you're going to get a clear understanding of why that response was provided, the SQL or the code that was generated, and the behavior of the model. So you can trust this data. And it leverages on the building blocks of the platform, which means it's going to leverage on the metadata, the data quality monitoring, the critical data element definition. So all those capabilities within the platform, along with the lineage and impact analysis, are going to deliver that trust component. Now, what are some of the questions that you can potentially ask of a data product, right? So you can create a data product that does profit analysis. So you can ask, why is profit low in a given region? Or you can create a data product that focuses on churn analytics, where you can ask which accounts are at risk to churn. You can look at sales data products for sales. So regardless of what your use case is, different teams, different departments can build their own data products and publish them in the marketplace. Again, all the governance from the platform will flow into that, and then your end users can interact with these data products irrespective of their technical competency, because the conversations are going to be in natural language. So they are completely abstracted from the complexity of the underlying technology. They are not expected to know any sort of SQL or have a technical background. They'll be able to have qualified conversations and then take actions better based on the data that they see. Right. Now, how does chat with your data work? So there are 4 steps here. The first step is to create a data product. So a data product, as I described earlier, is your curated knowledge layer. Excuse me. Curated knowledge layer with policies, access controls, and governance built in. So it's customized to the technology stack that you have, the data models, and the use cases that it needs to serve. And you already have are maintaining your critical data elements in Alation. So those glossaries are going to ensure consistency across your metrics and definitions. The second is you're going to enable the chat, where you're going to turn on these metadata-aware AI agents, and these agents are going to leverage the metadata within the platform. So all the behavioral analysis that Alation has in terms of joins, in terms of business definitions, the enterprise context. So that is going to be leveraged by your agent. Now, think of an example like year to date. Right? So in Alation, you can define what year to date is. Does it follow the calendar year? Does it follow the financial year? If you're doing a data load, is it a real time or a batch process, which means you have to consider n-1. You can ensure the data quality of the data that feeds into these data products meets the requisite thresholds. All that can be maintained within Alation, and these agents are going to leverage on this metadata to deliver context or to get context, right? And then you can start interacting. Once the agents are turned on, you can start interacting with these data products, where you can ask questions in simple English, and you're going to get accurate and explainable answers. The responses will show SQL, lineage, and model behavior. But more importantly, we want the human in the loop. So where your subject matter experts can validate or adjust the outputs that have been generated. So you can provide that feedback as an end user to the responses that you receive. And this feedback loop is continuously going to work on improving the accuracy of responses. So we have a customer use case that we want to talk about. So Euromonitor is an organization where their clients rely on Passport to access market research insights. But retrieving answers to some of their questions, it required the end users to configure complex filters and restart queries when these requirements are changing. So their solution was to leverage on Alation's chat with data into Passport. So they have since transformed their data access from very rigid processes to a simple natural language-based interaction. Again, the key concept that I want to highlight is the metadata from the platform is driving the agents to deliver more accurate and transparent answers. So their end users can now explore these insights instantly. They can apply the relevant aggregations at a regional level and trust the results that have been generated. So this is, helping their users adopt their data platforms better and empower themselves, self-serve themselves by asking questions. Right. So that was the hopefully that gave you a good overview of what the platform's capabilities are. So let's put this in action. Let's start with a quick demo. For those of you who are not aware, this is the Alation data intelligence platform. And as you can see, within the platform, now we have a data marketplace that has been established. The marketplace is the discovery layer for well curated, well governed data products. So these data products here are going to answer specific business questions, but more importantly, you can see all the products that are listed in the marketplace have to meet the minimum criteria that's defined. And this criteria is extensible, so which means you can define your own criteria based on your enterprise guidelines. The key here is the marketplace is able to serve both your human users and your AI models as well, because all products are maintained as code. So which means as your interactions change over a period of time where you're building more and more AI automation, Alation as a platform can service not only your end users, but it can also service your AI models or your automation that's built on top of your AI frameworks. So the marketplace allows your users to discover data products by asking questions in simple English. But before we get to that, let's talk about how we build a data product. Right. So within the marketplace, you have the ability to manage your marketplace itself. So you can create very granular permissions and define who can see what sort of data products. So users are only able to see the products that is relevant to them rather than see every single piece of information. And secondly, you can build your data products. So let me just click to that. So what we have is a data products builder copilot. Now this is completely AI powered. So from an Alation perspective, we are leveraging AI in a couple of ways. One, we use AI to automate some of the tasks that humans would do. So to reduce the friction out of the user experience, we leverage AI as an accelerator. And secondly, we also provide governance over your AI model. So we can cater to the AI governance use cases as well. So for today's demo, we are going to look at the data products builder copilot as first. So this is where, again, we are leveraging the copilot, right? So here I can ask the copilot to build a description for the data product. And as you can see, it is going to pass on this information to the LLM, and then you're going to get a description. But I can even start from the basics. I can go and say, build a retail analytics product, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to take these requests in simple English, and you can see there are a variety of steps that it invokes, starting from defining the data products, identifying the candidates, adding sample data, providing whatever sort of tagging that I need, and I can merge these changes into the YAML spec. So in the backend, we have a YAML based definition of these data products. And that's why I mentioned we can treat data products as code. So here you can see I have a data product that has been defined by my data product builder. And this is automatically going to leverage the metadata and the platform to create a data product that meets the criteria that I have defined. And it is also going to ensure all the standards that I have called out will be complied to. So which means my producers know what are the minimum standards that they have to meet, and my consumers can come into this data marketplace and consume these data products with confidence. So at each point, as I go through this process of building a data product, I'll be able to provide my instructions in simple English, I'll get the responses back. I can fine tune it, and then I can continue updating my existing data product or recreating or creating a new data product altogether. And once you do that, you are also able to see a quick preview of this data product, and then you can publish it into the marketplace. So again, we are facilitating the development of a data product as the first step, and you can hopefully see how simple it is to build and publish a data product into the data product marketplace. Okay. As I mentioned, you can also define permissions at a very granular level. So you can define, who owns these data products, who are allowed to do, what's the roles that have been provided. So again, users are allowed to see only the information that is permitted by the admins. And more importantly, Alation also provides insights, right? So we can define, how we can see how users are using these data products, and ensure that the feedback that's collected from end users is fed back into the producers, and they can refine their data products that they have published into the marketplace. All right. For the second part of this demo, what I want to do is I have a retail analytics use case, right? So I am in charge of optimizing my inventory for the festive season. So I'm going to come into the data marketplace and look for a data product that can answer that specific question. So I'm going to come here and ask a question or describe my problem statement in simple English, and I'm going to see what sort of candidates are available. So I'm going to say, I want a data product to optimize my inventory for the festive season. So the minute I search, what is going to happen is, again, this is an AI powered search. So Alation is going to go through a list of all the data products that has been published in the data product marketplace, and then provide recommendations. More importantly, you will see why the system has provided these recommendations. So there is an AI suggested reason. So again, even if I'm not very familiar with the organizational layout, I don't have a very great understanding of the data landscape, I can come and ask my questions in simple English, and I can get the responses back. So here you will see it has recommended a bunch of products, and it has provided a reasoning. So it says analyze sales trends to optimize inventory levels, or identifying top selling products and adjust stock levels for festive season rush. Now this seems to be a data product that I may want to use. So I'm going to click on this particular data product, and when I click on this data product, it'll take you to this page. Think of it as this single point to give you that bird's eye view about this particular data product. So I can come in here, I can see a very clear description of the retail sales analytics data product. So I can see what are the dimensions, I can see what are the facts that are included in this data product. More importantly, I'm being given guidance around the questions that this particular data product can answer. So you can see questions about top performing stores or products. I can ask questions about various aspects of sales like tax amounts or discounts. I can see the SLA for this data product. So I can see there is a commitment to refresh this data every 24 hours. I have an availability, and I have already set up a data quality monitor. So I'm able to provide guarantees around accuracy of the data product. So again, this is all possible because we have done everything from an Alation standpoint in terms of collecting metadata, in terms of establishing that lineage, in terms of defining policies, your metrics definition, and your data quality monitors. So as an end user, I can come look at this description, and I can be confident that it's going to serve my particular use case. If I have any questions, I'll be able to reach out to the product owner. So you can see a relevant product owner who's tagged to this data product, and I can also provide my feedback. Or if there is a problem, I can report a problem. I can see the badges that are assigned to this data product. So it tells me if I want, I can access the sample data. I can also request for access. So I have instant access. So which means I have created some sort of workflow automation. And if an end user provides a justification, they'll be able to get access to the data product or to the actual data itself. Right? And I have my use cases tagged to this data product. So that's what the badges are meant to give. It's giving you more context about this particular data product. As I scroll down, I can see various assets which form a part of this data product. So combine all these assets are allowing me to answer these questions that you saw in the description. So I can see there is a time dimension, there is a dimension table for the stores, there's a fact table, there's a product dimension, there's a customer dimension. Now, the beauty of this is I, as an end user, I don't have to worry about the joins. I don't have to worry about the relationships or the filter definition of filter criteria. All that has been automatically detected and configured. So I am just going to come and interact. So I'm going to, ask questions from my perspective, which I want to be answered, and self-serve myself, right? Like I mentioned, if I want, I can request for access, so I can raise a request. I can also provide feedback if this data product meets my needs, and I can get access to the underlying tables itself if needed. And I can download the data product definitions, and if I'm an admin, I can manage permissions, etc. So again, you will have the ability to see all the relevant information about these data products in one single place. So now, what am I going to do? I've gone through this. I assume that I've requested for access. I've been provided access to the underlying data. So I'm going to go and have a chat with the data. So this is where Alation is going to leverage on the agents that we talked about, and I'm going to go and have a conversation. So I'm going to repeat my problem statement. I want to optimize my inventory based on past sales. Right? So I'm going to start with this prompt, and I'm going to see what sort of response I get. Now, if you see, what Alation is doing is it's invoking multiple agents in the background. So it automatically knows it has to search within the retail store metadata layer. It searches for the metadata, and then it goes through building of the query. So you are seeing this automated query generation, and it will then try to provide an answer, right? So I'm going to wait for the system to provide me with a response. So you can see it's trying various options. So I, as an end user, I have just provided a simple statement. So Alation is going through all these queries based on the relationships, and it's going to give me a response. Right? So I'm going to now, because it doesn't know what my inventory is, I'm going to change my query. So I'm going to say, I want to understand the top selling products based on past sales. So let's try this option. So now I'm coming back. I'm looking at the reasoning that's provided. So again, it's going to go through these exercises where it's searching through my metadata. It's looking at the data products, and it's going to provide a response if it finds one. Great. So now you can see, based on the revised criteria, it has provided me with a bunch of products. So here you can see it says, hey, here are some top selling products based on past sales data. So it's led by this particular product, which has the highest total sales and quality sold, right? And it has included other products which also show significant sales, right? Now, again, this is where the intelligence within the platform comes with the context of the metadata layer. So if I go here, I can then say, yeah, this is a good response, this answers my question, or no. And now what I can also do is I can go and look at the reasoning. So here you can see the explanation of how the model came about this response. So you can see it identifies the top selling products by using the column product description to group the sales data. It also calculates the total sales dollar amount for each product using the aggregation, and it shows me the sales quality, order limiting, etc., etc. So you can see the conflicts. If there are any conflicts, it will highlight it here, but it will give you a clear reasoning as to how it came about this response. So as an end user, you're able to understand the logic. So it's not some black box where you enter a query and it just spits it out. It gives you that reasoning or that explanation. Now, if you are more technical in nature, you could also look at the actual query that was executed. So you can see the actual query that runs on the retail data set. Now, this was automatically generated by the platform. Now, let me, this is great, right? So I want to present this as information in one of my staff meetings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it, present this as a bar chart. And I'm going to ask Alation to present this information as a bar chart. Right? So again, as you're seeing now, what it's doing is it's invoking the charting agent. So from an Alation perspective, this is how we see, or this is our vision for data governance, where it's actionable automated governance that is being triggered by these autonomous agents, and these agents are going to deliver the outputs that the users want. So again, you can see all this code generation happens in real time. Now, if it generates an output, I will be able to then plug it into my or I can reuse it. And again, this is where you can rewrite your prompts if you feel like the response is not good. But you can see it has created this bar chart for me. Right? So now this is a downloadable asset. Again, I can see the source information. Now you can see the JSON of this chart, and I can then download it and I can put it in my presentation view. Right? So as an end user, I was able to ask questions without knowing anything about these underlying data sources. Now, this can be in Snowflake, this can be in Databricks, this can be in GBQ. So Alation's value is that we are an agnostic platform. We have a very wide range of connectors that plugs into all these systems, and we are able to pull in all this metadata. So I am completely abstracted from the underlying technology layer. All I can see is the output here, and I can see a clear reasoning. Now, if I were technical, again, I can take that source and I can optimize that query, etc., etc. But it gives me that starting point. So different users can self-serve themselves. Again, I don't have to depend on anyone to do this sort of analysis. Now, if I say add a line to this chart to indicate profit margin, let's see if it's able to dynamically update that chart, right? So again, as part of that conversation, you can see I can continue to refine the output or add additional tasks simply by chatting with this particular data product. And because Alation has all this context, and I've iterated this point a couple of times, that context is very important. So it automatically generates the query, and you can see now, based on the query that it has generated, it is also going to create or invoke that charting agent. So it remembers. So it has that memory to remember what were the previous steps. So now, based on the query that we or the question that we asked, it's going to generate a new chart, right? So here you can see now my chart is updated with profit margin. So instead of just having the top selling products, I can see which products provide the highest profit margin, and then that is going to lead into me, prioritizing stocking up those products for the festive season. Now again, I can ask Alation to say, hey, show me the products that were sold during the festive seasons, right? And then prioritize my actions accordingly. And the options are endless, right? The more I get into this, I can start asking more detailed questions. And the model will continue to be refined as more and more users are interacting with these data products and providing their feedback. So again, we started with a creation of a data product. We saw how a producer could create and publish a data product into the marketplace. The second point is, I, as an end user, I came into this marketplace. I started with a business problem. I asked the system to recommend a data product. I came in here. I looked at the definition of this data product. I looked at the various assets that contribute to the building of this data product. And then I started this conversation. If you remember the conversation, I started with a question on the top selling products. And in fact, the first question I asked was an incorrect question, right? And I wanted to show you the options that the agent takes you through. Even though you have asked for an incorrect question, it tries multiple, excuse me, multiple options. And then it said, hey, you know what, based on the question you asked, there might be some inaccuracy. So once I reversed my prompt, I was able to see the response for the top selling products. I was able to dynamically create a chart, and then I was able to alter it. I was able to ask the system to add a criteria. So again, all this happened on the fly. And hopefully, based on the live demo, you can see how the platform services these data products with all the metadata that's there. So now I'm able to take qualified business decisions based on the data that I've seen. So great. I'm going to say, this product meets my approval. So this is very useful to me. So I'm going to provide that feedback. So again, you're going to get all your stakeholders involved in the process. You're going to ensure there is equal participation from all your stakeholders, and they are able to provide their feedback as well. All right. So hopefully that gave you a good overview of what Alation's data products and data marketplace does, and how the chat with data capability that's embedded leverages on AI agents to drive actionable outputs. Okay. So now let's talk about certain key differentiators. Right? So what makes Alation's chat unique? So there are 4 key differentiators that I want to talk about. The first is accuracy. Right? And accuracy is a key concept because our agents have a very deep understanding of your enterprise landscape. They understand the business context and the metadata through the ingestion of knowledge directly from the catalog. So these are not different solutions. It's just part of one unified platform that provides data intelligence. So you're not context switching. So your catalog essentially feeds into your data products. The second is it's integrated, right? More importantly, Alation as a platform is completely agnostic. So you could have a multi-cloud strategy. You could have a hybrid architecture. So Alation will adapt to your data ecosystem. It'll connect to all the various platforms that your organization uses. So your data scientist could have Databricks. Your BI and analytics layer could plug into Snowflake. Another division could use Redshift. It doesn't matter to us. We treat all these data platforms as equal. So we are this agnostic layer of intelligence on top of your data ecosystem. transparency. So you were able to see for every answer that was generated, you were able to see the SQL that was created. You were able to see the Python code that gets executed as part of the charting agent. You were able to see the JSON file that was created. And you were able to also understand the model behavior, like a clear explanation as to how that answer came about. So this allows end users to clearly understand what was the reasoning behind the output that they see. Right? So it's not a black box anymore. We are using AI to explain why those results were achieved, and it can always be fine tuned. So you can have that human in the loop. You can ensure that there is clear feedback that is presented back to the producers, and your consumers are getting the best outcomes that they need. And finally, governance, right? So you can have different levels of access to customize excuse me, customize and govern these agents and production deployments. So that can be at a user level, that can be asset based, or row level access. Now, when we talk about accuracy, so this is where your metadata is important, right? So if you look at native SQL without any context, you will see it just assumes if I'm looking for active customers per month, it assumes active means they're placed an order. But when you have the correct business context, active could mean this customer has a subscription and has placed an order, right? So you're joining it with the subscriptions table, and then you're delivering the right output. So again, this is where context is important when it comes to structured data, because there is very little margin, or I should say no margin for error. It's either right or wrong. Right? And more importantly, every organization is very unique in terms of how they maintain their metrics and the context. So having that knowledge layer, establishing a clean repository of knowledge, which is what Alation is, it's very important to get accuracy, to ensure you get the accurate responses, and make sure your chat with your data moves into production very easily. And that is where Alation really shines, because all this metadata has been collected within the platform, and it can be fed into these data products. More importantly, our breadth of metadata ingestion means we can pull in these metrics from a variety of data sources. So here you can see a metric that's defined in Tableau that can potentially be pulled into Alation, right? So you can have the same metric in the knowledge graph where you're defining what profit ratio is. So the next time someone says, hey, I want to understand profit ratio for retail or for sales, I'll be able to, or the LLM will be able to provide a clear response. So we are bringing in the technical metadata, and we are also bringing in the business context. So what that means is you're not recreating content, you're going to reuse whatever you have defined so far. And more importantly, you have accuracy, so where you can provide this feedback, as the context and feedback is being fed back into this agent over a period of time, it is going to continue improving, right? So here you can say, hey, I want to provide some feedback. I'm going to say remove decimal points, or make sure the representation aligns with the standard. And once that feedback is saved, the system or the agent is going to learn from it, and it's going to ensure the responses when it comes back are more relevant from an enterprise perspective. And finally, integration. So Alation's biggest advantage is that it becomes this entry point into the enterprise landscape. Like I mentioned, any of these systems, whether it's your enterprise applications, your databases, your data warehouses, your BI layer, they can all plug into Alation, and you can compartmentalize your technical architecture with Alation, right? So you can plug and play, bring in the best of breed for various use cases. So there is no lock-in to a particular framework. You are free to choose the best technology to serve your particular business needs. we talked about this in detail. There is a clear explanation for every single response, so there is no black box here. You can see exactly what the model did to achieve that answer, and you can trace it back to the individual assets in the catalog to understand the source of each of these responses, right? So everything ties back into Alation as a platform which acts as the knowledge layer. And this is the last, but it's the most important, right? When we talk about chat with data, etc., people naturally have questions around, okay, what are users allowed to see? Are they allowed to see only what they have access to, or can they see everything? So all those governance, the policies that are defined, the access controls are brought into the platform, so you can leverage your existing governance investments, and you can ensure there are different levels of access control. So you can define control at the service level, defining who can do what. Second, at the object level, so can people actually browse the data products? And finally, when they interact with the data, what sort of row level controls apply, or what sort of data object level controls apply. Okay. So those were the key topics that I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A channel, and we'll do our best to answer it in the next 3 minutes. If not, we'll get back to you with the responses. Okay, so there are a few questions. Can you add knowledge documents or glossary terms into the data product? Yeah, absolutely, you can. You can link your existing glossary terms. You can link your existing knowledge documents into the data products. The intention here is to provide that end-to-end overview, right, of what a data product is. How can users understand the scope of questions, like whether profit margin is already part of the current data mart? Does it suggest follow-up questions? Does it combine multiple data products? So Amal, you have quite a few questions on the data products. So I'll probably take a first pass, but maybe it's worthwhile having a follow-up conversation. So feel free to indicate that. But our view is, to an extent, yes, right? So we like, for instance, profit margin. You can define what profit margin is in the knowledge layer, and the data product will understand that. In terms of the scope of the questions, this is where we want a subject matter expert. So there's the human in the loop. So you can have your producers define what are effective questions that end users could ask of the data product. So you will have the ability to ask those questions, or define those questions and instruct your users. And they can also provide feedback through the feedback loop that we discussed, and that will allow them to provide their perspective to the producers, and the data products can be refined or enriched as time passes on. Okay. When will the features explained today be available in Japanese is a question. So from a searching in Japanese, you should be able to do that. Nishimura-san, you will be able to do that right now. You can use Japanese to search. And if your assets are all in Japanese with description, etc., it will give you the reasoning as well. But at the moment, it's not yet localized. The data products and the data product marketplace itself is generally available, so you should be able to test it out. Feel free to reach out to us, and we can arrange for a follow-up session on that particularly. The SLA for the data product given within the data product page, is it Alation driven based on data quality check, and the questions are auto-generated? So that's from Amal again. Excuse me. So yeah, the data quality checks in Alation are automatically generated based on the metadata profile of that asset. On top of that, the SLA can be information that a subject matter expert or a data owner can add. So it is to provide guidance to the end users on the data product. Some of this information can be automatically generated. Some of this would be generated by your human users. So we are not, saying the humans are no longer part of this process. Your subject matter experts, or the people who really understand these data ecosystems, they would still be involved in setting it up, but we are elevating that self-service capability that we see within the platform. What guardrails? So Srinivas has asked a question: what guardrails we can leverage to ensure data product builder to give the desired results? So that's a good question, Srinivas. So this is where we can also provide you with our expertise. Our professional services can provide guidance on how to define a data product, what goes into building a data product, and how best to deliver the optimal results from with respect to your use case. So again, we can provide guidance on that. Out of the box, the platform also leverages the metadata within Alation to provide the right recommendations, and that can always be fine-tuned by a producer of these data products. Okay. I think Mouse Me, you have asked a question: will the chat prompts be saved for the data product teams to enhance accuracy and do better guardrails? So the chat is there for that particular session for the user, but you can provide your feedback, like I said, based on the responses that have been generated. But typically the chat, the questions that are being fed are available for that session. From an audit standpoint, yeah, we can see what questions were asked by the users. Okay. Brendan, you have asked a question: how can we keep track of new features and updates of Alation's chat and its impact on integrated workflows and data products? So again, we'll run multiple community events around what's coming up. Please keep an eye out on the invitations from our marketing team. And again, our respective field teams will also be in contact with all our customers and prospects around what is coming up and the updates to the existing capability. Okay, there's another question. I can see the feedback cycle from the consumers works to improve the metadata. When the organization understands the data and there is agreed understanding or definition, when this is not the case, I can imagine a company would have to carefully consider how to handle that cycle, review and validation step. Yeah, I think that's a good point that's raised. From our perspective, we want to ensure there is a good metadata layer. There's a good foundation for these data products to work upon, and we are feeding the right intelligence to improve the accuracy of the results. So yeah, 100% agree on that. There is a process, there is technology, then there is the people who are interacting with this technology, and then there is the process. So again, we can provide a more detailed session on the process and how we enable organizations to be successful with rolling out data products and capabilities like chat with data. So Katie, if that's of interest, happy to organize a more detailed session on that. There's a question on: do you look at trust certified products to promote higher in search to help with the accuracy of results? Yeah, that's absolutely one of the key points, right? We want to make sure that the assets that are feeding into these data products are the most authoritative data sources. So we want to ensure all that curation that's being done in the catalog is being fed back into the data product layer. So when we are searching, as you would have seen in the catalog, your trusted or certified assets have a higher ranking. So that is what the platform would look to use first. Right. So I think we have gone through, and thanks a lot for all the questions. So this has been very engaging. Again, my guidance is, if you want to know more about data products or have a detailed session specific to your use case, please feel free to reach out to your account teams, and we'll continue doing these sort of community sessions. But the most important call out from my end is, Alation as a platform is leveraging AI to accelerate outcomes. So we are moving in, we have always been on this actionable governance instead of just purely documentation. We are kind of refreshing or ensuring that that experience is much better by the continued adoption of AI. So hopefully this was useful to all of you, and you were able to get a good appreciation of what Alation is doing in this space and where we are going towards. I thank you all for your time and your participation. If there are no further questions, we'll close out this particular session, and I wish everyone a very good day ahead.